So hello and what's up everybody, welcome back to Screen Technicals. In the previous video we have seen about the ISR. Now in this video we are going to create our authentication system, right? So let's click on this sign in button, right? And here we have the form which takes up the email, right? So I've just opened the login.js at this point, and if you are using Supabase then it is pretty much very simple to do the authentication system, right? So basically it uses the magiclink authentication, that is a passwordless authentication system, right? Now let's see. At this point I have to first fetch my email, right? So let's say I'm going to use the use state sort of thing, right? So I'm writing here use state snippet. Okay, it is use state snippet, just like this. And at this point I'm going to write here, that is email, hit tab, and by default it is going to be blank, just like this. And I have to import the use state also, so just import it, right? Once this is done, then let's see where is that thing, that is the input tag. I have the input tag at this point, so I can write here on change. I can write here, I can just run an anonymous function just like this, and I can write here, that is set email, and it is going to be the I have to also pass the event, so I can write here e, and I can write here e dot target dot value, and I can pass the value at this point. Let's say value, in this case the value is going to be the email, just like this. Save this thing. Now let's come to this point. Let's say I'm just writing here log. At this point I'm writing here email. Right click at this point, click on this inspect. Let's say just open the console, and at this point let's say I'm writing here something like this, screentechnicals@gmail.com, and you're going to find this thing at this point. So now we have to do this, that is the submission part, right? So it is pretty much simple. Let's comment this thing, and at this point let's say I'm going to create a function. Const is going to be handle submit, just like this. Okay, and let's say it is going to be an anonymous function, not anonymous, it is going to be an async function, so async, and then it is going to be an arrow function, so just like this. And I'm going to write here e dot prevent, so I have to just pass the e at this point, and it's going to be e dot prevent default, just like this. So we have to pass this thing. So once this is done, now after this what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the user. So right here const, I'm going to write here just like this, right here user, and this is going to be Supabase. So we have to import the Supabase, so let's import that. Right here import is going to be Supabase, just like this. From is going to be dot slash, not dot slash, it's going to dot slash utils slash Supabase client, just like this. So in this way I'm going to get my Supabase. Right? Now once this is done, at this point I can just use the Supabase, and I can write here dot auth dot sign in. So it's going to be sign in, just like this. And make sure just change this to small, just like this. And at this point I'm going to pass my email, so it's going to be email, and this is going to be email, and I'm going to write here dot trim, just like this. So actually I'm just using the trim function, so to remove all the white spaces from the email. Let's see if I have some spaces at this point, just like this. So it's going to remove the spaces from here, right? So this is done, and then let's save this thing, and let's see if it is working or not, right? So I'm also going to show an alert message at this point. So let's say I'm writing here email has been sent successfully, just like this. Save this thing. Now just reload this thing. At this point let's say I'm writing here screentechnicals@gmail.com. click on this sign in, Okay, we have to, oh, okay, it is not working because we have to use the on submit sort of thing. So right here on submit, it is going to submit, you know, the handle submit. We have to call that thing handle submit, just like this. Now let's say right here screen technicals, this thing, and let's click on the sign in. Inspect, okay, not this. So let's click on this inspect console, and there is nothing happening. So let's say I'm writing here on click. So I think we have to use that on submit on the form. So let's see now if it is working or not. Screen technicals, this thing, sign in, e.prevent default is not a function. Okay, let's see. One thing we can do is just remove this thing. Let's say I can do one thing at this point, that is I can just change, you know, this is one div, this is one div, and this is going to be the div of the, that is inside the container of this box. So let's see, yeah, so I can just change this to form, okay, and this to form, just like this. So now we have a form, and I can add, that is the on submit sort of thing at this point, and I can write here handle submit, just like this. And let's say we have the right spelling. Okay, we have just you know, e.prevent, so right here t, it should prevent default. Save this thing. Now it should work, right? So let's write here screen technicals@gmail.com. click on this sign in, and you can see email has been sent successfully. Okay, so I'm going to open up my Gmail. So at this point we are not getting our email. So let's see, and we have some 400 error. So let's see at this point, and you can see sign in with OAuth. So I have to simply write here sign in, just like this. Save this thing. Now hopefully this should work right now. Go back. Let's say I'm writing here screen technicals@gmail.com, sign in, and we got an error. Let's see. So just close this thing. Supabase client, this thing, so it's not a function. So let's see. Okay, okay, the error is because we have to use some await, because it you know, returns a promise. So right here await, just like this. Now hopefully this should work. Right here screen technicals@gmail.com, click on this sign in, and again we have the issue. Refresh it, let's say again, and we have the same thing. Now we are getting that error because, you know, because of the version of Supabase that we are using. So I have just, you know, uninstalled Supabase from my project, and I have installed the regular Supabase version, right? So what I have done is just press Ctrl C at this point, and I've just run this thing, yarn remove @supabase/supabase.js, this thing, and once this is removed, I have used this again. I have just installed it using this. So you know, before, when, you know, just remember when we are, you know, installing Supabase, we are using @rc at this point, that is recent sort of thing. Now just remove that. Okay, press Ctrl C. I don't want to, you know, install this thing again. So I don't want the error again. So just so you have to just remove that RC, and you have to install Supabase, just like this, simply just like this. Now after that, this is going to work, right? This thing is going to work. So let's say I'm going to run my server at this point, is yarn dev, hit enter, press Command J. Now let's see at this point, just refresh it once, and let's say I'm writing here screen technicals@gmail.com, sign in. Now it will take some time to process, and then hopefully we are going to get this thing, that is email has been sent successfully. Click on this, okay, come to this one, and you are going to find this no reply sort of thing. So click on this, and you're going to find this thing, login. Click on this, and let's see we are getting it or not, and we are getting it, right? And you can find you know, you can successfully see the blog post at this point. So if I refresh it, and the image is still not loading, I hope so. It is taking some time to load because of the network. Let's say if we click on this, let's say right click at this point, click on this inspect, and let's see at this point I have this div, this one, and inside this div we have an image. and there is nothing to show. So what is happening? So let's go to Supabase. At this point, click on this blog post. So at this point, in the content, or not in the content part, in the image, I have img1, right? And let's see if I'm going to my the storage part, and I should have that storage. I have the images, and I have the img1 sort of thing at this point, right? If I click on this, I should see the image. Yeah, I'm getting the image. So what is happening at this point? If I'm refreshing it, I should see it. Okay, we are still not getting the image. So let's see. Open this. So this is actually the card, so I can just click on this component card.jsx, and at this point you can see this thing. It is giving us some property may not exist, public URL. So at this point, first I'm going to log my image. It is img image. Save this thing, and let's see in the console we are getting undefined. If I refresh it, and we are getting img1 and then undefined, right? So one thing we can do is, at this point I can use the, wait a minute, if I'm writing here image just like this, so I'm just console log img1, this is undefined, right? Image URL is undefined. Here supabase.storage. So let's see this thing. Yeah, this is correct. Imported. Okay, so let's remove this thing, save this thing, and we are getting the public URL just like this. This is the public URL, and if I'm writing here, if I let's refresh it first, and let's see we are getting that or not. Refresh it, and we are getting that, right? So if I'm writing here dot public URL just like this, save this thing, and let's say refresh it, and we are getting that URL. If I click on this URL, it should open up the image. Yeah, this is working. So actually I'm just putting my URL. Okay, we have to just remove this small URL. I write here capital URL, as we have changed the version of Supabase, so there are some changes that we have to do. Just like this, the URL should be capital, just like this. Save this thing, and hopefully we are getting the image. All the bugs are sorted now. So one more bug that is we have to set is go to the env, and we have everything at this point. So let's open up the utils Supabase client, and at this point let's say if I'm writing here, that is Supabase URL, it is Supabase URL, and here let's say I'm writing my anon key just like this. Save this thing, and Supabase URL is required, it is saying. So let's go to our .env, and we have at this point we have the Supabase public anon key, Supabase pass, our Supabase URL. So let's say I'm writing here, changing the name, let's say next underscore public underscore Supabase URL, command C, and then let's say I'm just pasting it at this point even, and writing here Supabase underscore anon key just like this. Save this thing, go to this point, remove it, and paste this thing, that is the, let's close this thing, Supabase URL, and then this is going to be the Supabase underscore anon key just like this. Save this thing, and let's say I'm just restarting the server. Hopefully this should work. Let's see, I'm refreshing it, and this is working, right? So because of that version of Supabase we are getting all those bugs. Now everything has been sorted. Now you have to just remember what we have done. You have to just install Supabase. There's only the Supabase thing, without that @rc, right? So this is working right now. Okay, click on this. Now I can just get rid of all the console logs from this point. Save this thing. Now click on this and go to the application. Okay, open the application, click on this local storage, this thing, and you're going to find this thing, that is Supabase auth current session provider. So I have to get this thing, right? So, and I have to show the logout option at this point. So this is going to be pretty much simple, right? So what I'm going to do is go to the navigation bar first, and this is where we are just displaying our sign in button. So I'm going to use the use state sort of thing right here, use state snippet, and this is going to be my the sign in button, or the sign button, you can say. I'm writing here sign button, just like this, and I'm just making it as by default. I'm just replacing this thing with this button, this link tag. Command X, I can just paste that at this point, just like this. Save this thing, and at this point I can just add. So at this point I'm going to write here sign button, and I have to import the use state. Save this thing, and this is working, right? Now once this is done, so now what I can do is I can just check, I can check that if my user exists. So I can do that using just like this. I can write here, that is use state. I can use the used effect sort of thing, right? That is use effect, and inside this, just like this, and I can I can check if, just like this, if local storage dot get item, and if my item, that is in this case my item is this Supabase auth token, that's this thing. Command just I'm going to copy that thing, paste at this point. If this exists, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my state of this thing. So I can write here set sign button, and then I'm going to paste this thing, just copy the button from this point, Command C, paste it here, and write here sign out, just like this. Save this thing, and you're going to find the sign out at this point. And what I'm going to do is, at this point I'm going to write here on click, I'm going to write here Supabase. I'm going to run an anonymous function first, so just like this, and it's going to be just like this. Give the arrow thing and write here Supabase dot auth dot sign out, just like this, and save this thing. And after that, what I want to do is I want to reload the page, and I want to show some alert message, or let's say I'm just reloading the page. So let's say I'm writing here, that is I have to use the router. So I'm going to write here const, okay, it's going to be const router. This is going to be use router, just like this, and I have to import the use router. So right here import use, that is router, that is from next slash router. And at this point, where is that thing? At this point, once this is done, after this I'm going to reload the page. So I'm going to write here router dot reload, just like this. Save this much of thing. Let's see if we click on this sign out, and you can find the sign in thing, right? And I have to just reload this thing, and you are going to find that that current session is not at this point, it is not present. So let's click on the sign in again, screentechnicals@gmail.com, sign in. It should show me the pop-up message. Yeah, click on this, go back, click on this again, and you're going to find this new email. Click on this login. I can close these things, just like this, and I'm going to find this thing, just refresh it, and I'm going to find the sign out thing, right? So to solve that error, one thing we can do at this point, that is we don't need to use the local storage just like this. We can use the session that provides Supabase, right? That is provided by Supabase, right? So what I can do at this point is I can write here, I need to use another, that is use state. So I can write here use state snippet, and I need the session just like this. So I can just set my session to be null for right now, and I can just change this at this point. I can write here set session, and I can set my session to be supabase.auth.session, just like this. And once this is done, I can I can run another thing, that is supabase.auth.onAuth state change, right? I'm just changing the state. On state change, I'm going to pass two things, that is one is underscore event, just like this, and another thing is my session. So right here session, and then I'm going to it will be a callback function, or you can say a arrow function, and inside this I'm going to write here, that is set session, and this is going to be simply the session, just like this. Save this thing, and once this is done, I can do one thing, that is once this is done, I can do one thing, that is let's say I'm just taking this from this point. Let's remove this and remove this thing, and at this point just adding this, and I can just paste I can write here session. If session exists, if it is true, then do this, else do this. But save this thing, let's say, and let's say I'm writing here sign. Let's see the session first, inspect, and I just click on the application, and I don't have sessions. So let's see, I'm writing here, if it is true, I'm going to write here sign out, and let's say I don't need the link text, so don't need this thing, just like this. Remove the link from this point, save this thing, and let's see if I click on this sign in. Let's say I'm writing here screentechnicals@gmail.com, sign in, and let's see, we got the email. So let's go to this point, go back, and here I have the email, login, and I have the sign out button at this point, right? Now at this point I can just write here on click, I can just add an anonymous function. It is going to be, that is supabase.auth.signout, just sign out. It's going to be sign out, just like this. And then I'm going to reload the page using the router. So I'm going to write here router dot reload, just like this, and hopefully this should work. Click on this, and I am logged out. Click on the sign in, Screen Technicals, sign in, got the email, go back, refresh it. Let's say we don't get the email. Let's say I'm just refreshing it, and let's say I'm writing here screentechnicals@gmail.com, sign in, and hopefully this time we got that. Click on this, login, and let's see, we are signed. You can see the signed out button at this point. So this is working, right? So this much for this video, guys. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and I will see you next time.